time for a roundup of all the best bits about branding for you from season 4. Snippets from the most popular tips I shared. If you like the sound of one, you can skip on over to the episode in full. Links to all of these episodes below in the show notes for you, and throughout this roundup up here too. Back in March, I explored some of the most common branding myths I hear. What is quite surprising about them is that they are often peddled by some of the big business gurus out there. Together, I helped you get clear on myths like
myth number 1 then, that it's all a tick box exercise. Myth number 2, measuring isn't important. Misconception number 3, it's all about me. Myth number 4, jumping on too many trends. Myth number 5, but I'm pretty creative, you know.
Plus 5 more. Let's take a look at this clip where I explain exactly how to make sense of what continually rebranding your business means as a misconception and myth.
If you've rebranded more than 3 times in the last 5 years, then there's a very good chance that you are using the excitement of rebranding as a procrastination to avoid doing something else. Brand boredom is a very real thing. But I am a big believer in that if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. If you know that your brand is helping you to grow your business and you're attracting the right people who really resonate with your brand and who you want to serve, then your brand is working. So stop messing with it. Indecision is also a worthwhile factor to bear in mind here. Going back over and over again and making all these tiny little minute details to your branding is a really good indicator that you've got something going on with your self-confidence right now. Losing progress and momentum with your business brand evolution is really common with a lot of entrepreneurs as a result of indecision. And that can actually have a debilitating effect on the brand growing in the right way, at the right pace. If you're recognizing this about you, try to find people who you can surround yourself with, who can help to lift you up and build your self-confidence, but also people who can really help mentor you in making these decisions faster so that you can move on to the next thing.
To begin explaining some of my exciting new services, I put together a small collection of episodes to introduce them to you. We got things off to a great start in my using a watermelon to explain exactly what brand strategy means. Right now, in my entrepreneurial circle, so that's people that I know from the local area and a lot of people who I know around the world online in different types of groups and forums, probably get about 10% of all this stuff that I'm talking about today. And I feel like there's a very clear reason as to why that might be. We've seen a huge surge in entrepreneurism over the last few years, and that has been as a result of different world events, but lots more people now want to be in charge of how they live their life, and they see that running a business and becoming an entrepreneur is the way that they want to live life on their terms. And that mass surge and exodus of people has resulted in lots of people producing these tick box lists, checklists if you will, on all the things you need to have in place if you want to be seen as a really good entrepreneur or business owner. And when everyone has taken this approach of ticking off the list, we have ended up with a whole gamut of people who actually have these hollowed out husks as brands. They're not proper businesses because they've followed this tick box exercise and they've missed out the crucial part. Just like a really thin skin on a balloon. So think of this skin, it's made up of brand photography, headshots, selfies, social media posting and content. But if you walk up to them and give them a little bit of a poke, they just evaporate. It's just hot air. There's nothing inside to hold them together. A business that has a brand strategy and a much richer, considered brand identity is a little bit more like a watermelon. There's substance all the way through. And this melony substance is made up of how you sound as a brand, how you look as a brand, how you smell and feel as a brand on an emotional level, as well as tangibly, what your turn of phrase is as a brand, what you believe as a brand, the philosophies you adhere to as a brand, your principles and values as a brand, how you will always behave as a brand, the storylines of your brand, who your brand hangs out with and does business with, who your brand is in love with, who your brand is friends with, who your brand is arch enemies with and rivals with. A brand strategist can really help you figure out exactly what your Melanie substance and jewel-like seeds ought to be. And what's more, a really great brand strategist will help you figure out exactly what your Melanie substance should be, backed up with hard data and facts and figures and a whole lot of logic. Then they're going to help you interpret if the Melanie substance and filling that you thought you needed is actually going to be the right Melanie substance that you're going to need to make sure you can achieve your goals. Building on a new understanding of the power of brand strategy, I then got into detail on how much brand strategy costs. I broke things down into these key factors: tools and scope required, size of your business and research depth. Then I got into further detail about your preferred style of service. Let's talk now about style of service, because this has a big role to play when we're answering the question, how much does brand strategy cost? If you know going into a brand strategy project that you have very little interest in how it's all done, or it could be that you have absolutely no time availability in your schedule, then you can expect to pay more for a brand strategist to deliver a brand strategy project for you. However, if you're prepared to roll up your sleeves and get a little bit more involved in the nitty-gritty of the project, then you can probably expect to pay a little bit less. In any style of service, when it comes to brand strategy, you should absolutely expect to take part in a workshop or a series of workshops that are fully facilitated by a brand strategist. And it's in these workshops that a brand strategist is focused on developing the finer points of your brand strategy. So it's really important that you're involved at that stage, because you're the business owner and you know the most about your brand. When you choose to get a little bit more involved, some of the more time-consuming parts of the project could be undertaken by you. And naturally, this reduces down the cost. My Done With You service, where you start to get a little bit more involved in executing a brand strategy project with me at your side, begins at £400 a month. Whereas, if you'd rather have me and my team take care of this all for you and just come along to the workshops where you're absolutely needed, you're going to be looking to pay more like £5,000 and upwards for a brand strategy project delivered in this style. With the lead in about how much brand strategy costs, it was only fitting I got into detail on how long brand strategy takes as a project for your business. This is exactly what we got into exploring in this next episode, which aired in June. As well as looking at how to do this in a fast and then in a slow way, I covered some rough estimates too. Last week, I shared that my fully done-for-you brand strategy services begin at £5,000 and they go up from there. I also talked about how the cost is directionally proportional to the size of your business. Time comes into play here as well, because if you have a large team or a really extensive library of content, then the amount of time that we're going to need to allocate to do the right research on these things is going to be more than if you didn't have them, or if you've got a really little team. And when you start adding this up, you can see how the length of overall time spent on your project is going to increase or decrease according to the specific details of your business. It is very likely that a business owner will not identify that their brand strategy is what needs to be addressed. Instead, they are probably going to be aware of common problems that they know are going on inside their business. I shared some of these common signs.
Misalignment. Should that be blue or red? Big fish, little fish. Cardboard box. Why don't they love me? Where's my spotlight?
And of course, I explained how brand strategy helps to combat these problem signs too. It has been a blast recapping on all the best bits about branding with you today from season 4. I'll see you next time. Mwah!